Greetings, villagers! This is Mad Hatter Patrick, and guess what? We're going back into the multiverse! No, that's next year. Close, but bluer. Oh, how I wish I could talk about this instead of that, but nope, we're going into the Smurfverse. Of course I know about the Smurfs, from the characters to some of the magic stuff that happened in the cartoon. Originally began as a Belgian comic by Peyo, the Smurf grew popular in the 1980s with the Hanna-Barbera cartoon. The premise is about some tiny blue people named after a specific adjective or trait who go on magical adventures and avoid an evil wizard named Gargamel that wants to eat them or use them for gold. Released in summer 2025, this is the Smurfs' third and a half attempt to be a movie franchise. Before it, there was the Magic Flute movie that was only released in a few countries, the live-action series that only lasted for 2 movies with some bad reviews, followed by a fully animated film, Smurf the Lost Village. Despite being better than the previous adaptations, it still received some mixed reviews. After the live-action movies and The Lost Village, Sony stopped making movies about these tiny blue people, and the owners of the Smurf brand partnered up with Paramount for a new Smurf franchise. Their mission was to make multiple animated Smurf movies, with the first one being a musical. Unfortunately, that plan came out as a failure in the end. Not only was it considered one of the worst animated films in 2025, but it was a box office disappointment, earning only $124 million against its $58 million budget, causing future animated Smurf movies to fade into obscurity. Welcome to another episode of the Wonder Reviews. I guess it's my turn to take a bite out of this mushroom. This is the Smurfs movie from 2025. It's about a Smurf played by James Corden, who is completely unsure of what sort of Smurf is he supposed to be. But Gargamel's brother, Rosamel, summoned a dark vortex to kidnap Papa Smurf because he's looking for a magic book that will help him take over the universe. So the no-name Smurf and Smurfette, voiced by Rihanna, had to save Papa Smurf and their home. When I started watching this fantasy movie, I ended up feeling more confused about how exactly does this Smurfverse actually work. The movie's supposed to explain that there's a battle between good and evil, and the good magical creatures are supposed to triumph over the evil wizards. In addition, it's meant to show an origin story about Papa Smurf and how he created the Smurf village. There is an interesting idea of making the Smurfs the protectors of goodness, but the story is badly disorganized on who the Smurfs are as both guardians and characters. It spilled out a whole bunch of expositions while providing more questions than answers at the same time. Like, how are Smurfs created? How do they become guardians? How does a Smurf know to find its calling? How are they all connected to the real world in this universe? Speaking of the real world, that's another problem that put the movie in grave danger. It ended up bringing back the problems that were addressed in the live-action movies. Although they never really interact with humans in this one, there is really no point on sending the Smurfs to the real world. They're not just unmagical, but these bits have already been done in the other movies, like going to France, meeting new Smurfs, and is it just me, or I'm getting tired of these films bringing up Smurfette's backstory? What's worse is that the plot barely has some substance involving the no-name Smurf because it's the same old generic moral about you're special in your own way. But wait, wasn't this movie supposed to be an anime musical? Surely there might be some songs that are worthwhile. Well, shockingly enough, this movie is not even close to be labeled as a musical. There are only 2 songs throughout the movie. Aside from the opening and maybe the iconic Happy song, there are only 2 musical numbers where the characters sing. Either way, the musical numbers are just forgettable and basically mimicking the Trolls soundtrack. What's even worse is that the Smurfs are taking inspiration from DreamWorks Trolls on being hip and cool with the kiddies. Not only does it provide painful Smurf puns, but some really horrible modern jokes in a fantasy film starring little blue creatures that don't have the internet. They even tried to throw in the multiverse into the mix, but they never really explore that territory, or even the Smurfs' legacy. And another thing, the Smurfs keep going on and on that maybe the no-name Smurf could be considered a magical Smurf, but Papa Smurf finds it very hard to believe. Except for the fact that they already have a magic Smurf, and it's Papa Smurf himself. He brews potions, studies spellbooks, and he was the one that turned Smurfette into an honorary Smurf in the first place. So really, the magic story arc is pointless. While I may have known the Smurfs for many years, like Papa Smurf, Brainy, Smurfette, and more, I still don't know these characters as movie characters. It may be a movie filled with 100 Smurfs and a few magical characters, but due to the plot being disorganized, these characters are actually irritating in this. Like, nobody's funny, interesting, or even relatable. Even the acting couldn't provide any sort of spark because some of them sound bored to play these characters. Papa Smurf is the Smurf in distress that would hold important information regarding the Smurf's purpose and the magic book. Ken is his grumpy brother that does provide the information, and Mama Pooh is the Queen of the Poohs that wants to help the Smurfs so she can save her kids, which her own kinds are rip-offs of the minions that lack any sort of charisma. But when it comes to the Smurfs who are part of the mission, for a movie that's supposed to establish that they are the guardians of goodness, they actually never use their abilities to save the world. You'd think some like Brainy and Hefty might provide their strength or intellect, but that's not the case. Grouchy, Worry, and Vanity are useless, and the sound effects Smurf is really not funny with his sound effects gags. The only regular Smurfs that contribute anything are Smurfette and the No-Name Smurf. You got Smurfette, who is the leader of the rescue mission, and the only one that supports No-Name about finding his purpose. The movie tries to explore her past that she was created by Gargamel, and she has to learn about the meaning of family, but that's already been done in the other movies, and we already know she's not going back to the dark side. In fact, she's not really the main character. That would be James Corden, the No-Name Smurf. And like I said before, his storyline about being special is just generic and not worth carrying. Even when he does find his calling, it's absolutely stupid and painfully predictable. As for everyone else, there's John T, the living magic bug, who ended up putting all the Smurfs in danger for interfering. There's that forgettable turtle who didn't really serve a point of joining the Smurfs in Paris, and all the other evil wizards are sidelined to focus more on the main villain, Rosmel. Oh, you thought Gargamel was going to be the main villain again? No, he's been downgraded as the comic relief that wants love from his brother alongside his cat, Azrael. Some could argue that he's given the henchman role, but all he does is be clumsy. With Rosmel, on the other hand, he's just copying what Gargamel's been doing throughout his entire life. He has a helper named Joel, his own evil lair, and he uses magic to put an end to the Smurf. I get that they want to try other Smurf villains besides Gargamel, but Rosmel didn't even try to be original. Is there anything good in this movie? Well, the animation is colorful. You can tell that they're going to the 2D and CGI hybrid like Puss in Boots: The Last Wish and Ninja Turtles: Mutant Mayhem. The style is meant to pay homage to the Pale comics. And you know what? It's not that bad. When it starts off in the Smurf village, it does capture the feel of a magical place filled with mushroom homes. Plus, there are a few moments where they use talk balloons for some cartoony physics. I'll also give credit that Rosamel's castle does look extravagant with some eerie features. Also, there are tons of visual effects to make some of the magic scenes enjoyable to watch, like the magic record player or Rosamel's evil vortex. And sometimes, the cartoony animation does supply some energetic moments and good choreography to give more life to the movie. In a way, the animation does succeed as a Smurf movie. However, as bright and colorful it can be, there are still some inconsistencies that can be found in the artwork. This is more evident when the Smurfs enter the real world. As previously stated, none of the humans interact with the Smurf characters, and the live-action scenes do not blend well with the CGI. And with each country the Smurfs travel, they don't give us anything interesting to remember from the journey. They only show a busy city in Paris, a desert in Australia, and a castle in Germany. It gets even more confusing when Gargamel, Rosmel, and the other animated human characters do come to the real world, but not in live action. Another problem with the animation are the designs of the Smurfs. They all look good, but most of the Smurfs just look exactly the same, except for Papa Smurf, Ken, Smurfette, and Brainy. And yes, I know it's part of the source material, but even a group of Smurfs can be given their own physical features to help tell them apart. There was a moment where the Smurfs do enter other dimensions like claymation, paper drawings, video game pixels, and anime. While they are pretty creative, they just wrap them up super quick. And in case you're wondering, no, there's no Smurf references in any of these dimensions. I think the closest we got is the video game universe, and that's it. And yes, I already heard there was a rejected Smurf character from the teaser trailer called Influencer Smurf, yet they still use that same Smurf in the opening, but just delete his influencer name and his YouTube channel to make the cringy movie less cringy. While I am grateful that they cleaned that joke away, this film is still a dirty pile of Smurfs. The 2025 Smurf movie is another bad adaptation based on the cartoon series. While the animation is pretty to look at, but the story is a total mess, the jokes are awful, and the characters are unbearable. Maybe some little kids and Smurf fans might have a better time than I did, but I still suggest you should not watch this movie. This just makes the Lost Village movie look like Scooby-Doo on Zombie Island. And that's the problem with these Smurf movies. After watching this, I had to ask, what's even the point of making a Smurf movie? With every attempt they tried to do, their film timelines never seem to last long. So really, the Smurfs can only be good on TV and comics and nothing beyond that. I hope Gargamel is still hungry because I'm giving this Smurf a D and cooking it into the flames of failure. I'm Mad Hair Patrick. Now if you'll excuse me, I'm going to watch some snort cartoons. Thanks for watching this video. If you enjoyed this, check out these other videos, or feel free to like, comment, and subscribe for more upcoming reviews and other projects. I'll see you soon.